eighth graders.
Hi, hope you're having a good week. Here's another lesson on two-way tables. And then with our next lesson, we'll start our new unit, which is on square roots. Okay, our learning target is you will be able to analyze data in a two-way table. You will demonstrate this by answering questions about three two-way tables. We are looking at what year students are in. So we're looking at sophomores and juniors here, year 10 and year 11. And then what language they would like to study, whether they'd rather do Spanish or Russian. Okay, so starting with our first number up here. If I can get the pen, there we go. 137 pupils were asked which subject they would like to study. So that is our total of all groups. So that is down here in the very bottom, 137 is our total. 86 of the pupils chose Russian. Now it doesn't say what grade they're in, so that would mean that is the total for Russian. So the total for Russian is 86. 29 pupils in year 11 chose Spanish. So I'm looking to see where year 11 and Spanish meet, and that is going to be our 29 students. And lastly, 63 pupils in year 10 chose Russian. So I'm looking for where Russian and year 10 meet, and that is going to be 63. Okay, there are only two spots we can start here. The first spot that comes to mind is this one here, the Russian. I know that there are 86 total students, and I know that 63 of them are year 10. So if I subtract, that is going to show me how many were year 11. Now, I always like to add more than subtract, so I'm going to go across here for year 11 next, because I see that there are 29 year 11 that like Spanish. There are 23 that asked for Russian. So if I add those together, I am going to get our total of 52. Okay, why don't we go to the top here for total? So I know there were 137 and 52 of them are year 11. If I subtract, that is going to leave 85 for the total for year 10. And then let's go across on year 10. Now I know there are 85 total year 10. I know 63 of them asked for Russian. So when I subtract, that is going to leave me with 22. And then to finish off Spanish, that's another nice adding one because I've got 22 in year 10. I've got 29 in year 11, and when I add those together, that is going to give me 51. And if we want to double check, we could add this one across, but these two do add up to 137, so I know I've got that right. Okay, now this one's just a little bit different, but it's still the same idea. I'm looking for year 6, 7, and 8, and what is their favorite subjects, math, history, or art. We got a lot of things down here. The first one that catches my eye is that nobody in year 7 likes history. So I'm going to go across year 7 to history, and that is nobody. In year 6, 15 people like art the most. So I'm going to see where year 6 and art cross, and I'm going to put a 15 there. 45 pupils liked history the most. Now that doesn't say what year, so that has to be the total. So the bottom of history is going to be 45. How about the bottom here in year 7? There were only 4 children who didn't like math as their favorite subject. I'm not sure I can do that one yet, actually. We'll have to come back to that one. There were equal numbers of students in year 7 and 8. I'm not sure about that. The table shows which of 3 subjects 144 children liked the most. So that is how many people we asked. We asked 144. That is our total. A quarter of the students were in year 6. So what I'm going to do is take the 144 and divide it into 4 sections, and that is 36. So there are 36 students in year 6. 18 year 8 pupils liked art the most, so I'm going to look for where year 8 and art cross, and that is 18. A third of the year 6 pupils liked math the most, so I'm going to take that 36, divide it by 3, and that is how many liked math. There were equal numbers of students in year 7 and 8. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 144 total, take out the 36, that were in year 6. That leaves 108 for me. And now I know that 7th and 8th grade are equal groups, so I'm going to divide this by 2. And that's going to get me 54 kids in year 7 and 54 kids in year 8. Okay. We did that one. How about this last one then? In year 7, there were only 4 children who didn't like math as their favorite subject. So we know they don't like history, so those 4 that didn't like math would all be in art. And I could get that one pretty easily then, so I can figure out how many year 7 people like math by taking 54, minusing the 4 that liked art, technically minusing the 0, but you know that doesn't do anything. So that is going to leave 50 students who like math. Of course they like math in year 7. Up here on the top for year 6, I've got 36 total. I'm going to take out the 12 that like math and the 15 that liked art, and that is going to leave 9 that like history. Poor Dr. Demecki. Going down for history, I've got 45 total, minus the 9 in year 6, minus the 0 in year 7, that is going to leave 36. Going across for year 8, I've got 54 total, minus the 18 that liked art, minus the 36 that liked history. Oh, that's awful. Nobody in year 8 likes math, according to this table. Now let's go down for math. So I'm going to add 12 and 50, and that gets me 62. And then going for art, I'm going to add up 15, 4, and 18, and that gets me a total of 37. And again, if I wanted to double check, I could go across this way and make sure that these 3 add up to 144. Please notice that some of those we couldn't get until later on, until we had more information. Okay, our last one here. 100 students were surveyed about which is their dominant hand. So let's put that in. We're talking about 100 students. 25 female students are right-handed. So I'm looking for where female and right hand meet, and I'm putting a 25. Of the 32 left-handed students, so that tells me all the left-handed students. The bottom of left-handed students is all 32. And of those, 7 are male. So male left-handed is 7. The same number of males are left-handed as ambidextrous. So since I know it's 7, I know ambidextrous is 7, which means you can use both hands equally well. And lastly, 8 females are ambidextrous. So female ambidextrous is 8. Okay, where can we start? I believe there's only one spot we can start. Could you take a second and see where that would be? It is the left-handed column here. So I'm taking the 32 total, I'm subtracting 7, and I've got 25. Now that opens up that I could go across for female. I've got 25 right-handed, 25 left-handed, and 8 ambidextrous. That makes 58. Okay, now I could do either ambidextrous or total. Actually, I misspoke when there was only one spot. We could have done ambidextrous here, adding 7 and 8, and that is giving me 15 total people ambidextrous. I could get the total column here. That's 100 minus 58, leaves 42. Okay, now going across. For the male, I'm taking my 42, I'm subtracting the 7 and the 7, and that leaves me with 28. And I could also subtract backwards, but I prefer to add if I can. So I'm going to add those 2. That gets me 53. I've posted a homework with this, so go ahead and try homework 6.18. A couple choices. You can either print it off, write on it, and then take a picture or scan it and get it back to me. You could open the file and use Word to write right in the file with the numbers. You could also just do it on a separate sheet and then again take a picture of it, or just send me those answers. Say male right-handed was 28, female left-handed was 25, or whatever you need to do. Have a good week.